So we're doing a lot of sequels, huh? That's what I'm getting from this year's D23 conference. We saw a lot of presentations, and this was all stuff that we saw secondhand, although some of the trailers got released online. But I want to talk about all of it, because some of it is relevant to videos that I have made and things that I talk about a lot. Some of it is things that I think look quite silly, and some are things that I think look quite cool. There's at least one thing that we saw during this D23 Expo presentation thing that I had not seen before that I am genuinely very excited about. So I will get to all of those things. I'm going to do it in the order that I can remember them. This is stuff that's been out on Friday, so I know there's an animation thing on Saturday that is not covering that here. I have a feeling there's gonna be a lot of cool stuff there that Disney is going to announce, but I'm just talking about the stuff that was at the Friday D23 conference thing. Let's start with Moana. I'm pretty sure Moana 2, Tawana, was the first thing that we saw a trailer for or something. They came out and did the dance. Ayui Carvalho, and I think even maybe The Rock was there. They're making a second Moana. I don't care about Moana very much. It's not a bad one either. It's not like one of the ones that I'm like, that one stinks. It's just one that like never really connected to me. I know certain YouTubers love it. Certain people, you know, have very strong connections for whatever reason. I think it's fine. I think the music was interesting. I think what they're doing with this is strange. So what do I kind of understand about this? It's Moana 2. And we saw the trailer, so get a slightly better sense for what it is. Although it really just seems like more Moana 1, right? It seems like it's another curse and another thing is affecting the island, and we need to sail out with Maui to stop it. And here's those coconut guys and some other monster thing or whatever. This one seems like it has a more malevolent like force than what we got in the first one, which was a, you know, secret bad guy was actually kind of a good guy thing. This one, it seems like it's more of a cackling like villain. But what I believe, I kind of remember hearing about this, is that this was originally going to be a show that Disney, you know, Bob Iger went and looked at when he got back. He looked at everything and went, I would like this to make money instead of not make money. So they realized they could make it into a movie, and it will make money. This is a good idea. I understand why they're doing it. But I wonder how that's going to play into this movie actually feeling like a movie. And I don't mean that in terms of like, you know, the CGI or anything. I just mean that in terms of how is it going to flow? Is it going to feel incomplete? Because I mean, technically every time one of these Marvel things comes out, except for like She-Hulk and other ones that do feel more episodic, like WandaVision, very episodic. But at the end of like Falcon and the Winter Soldier or Moon Knight or Miss Marvel, I always hear people say, can't wait for somebody to cut that into a 2-hour movie, because that's what it should have been from the start. I think there's a chance that that is going to play out pretty well. Like maybe they're going to have like a really solid 2-hour movie, and then that's what this will be. I don't know. I expect they plan to make a lot of money with this. Like I said, the Moana crowd seems to exist. They're also making a live action Moana movie, which is also starring The Rock, which like, man, I imagine if this flops, that might go away, but I don't know what to expect. So there we go. Boom. There's one thing. That is not the thing that I'm very excited about. Surprise, surprise. What else did we see? I'll leave the stuff that's like big Marvel stuff for the end. We saw the Skeleton Key trailer. This was a new Star Wars thing. This is pretty surprising. I think we knew based on leaks of like Lego sets and publicity pictures, not like leaks of the script or anything, but just, you know, like there'll be a shirt that pops up at Walmart in 3 months or something. That picture will go online. Everyone will go, oh, that's what Wolverine's helmet's gonna look like. You know, that's how you see a lot of that stuff first. I think we've seen some of those things for the Skeleton Crew show. It looks cute. Honestly, like out of all of the things that Disney has produced that are not Andor and that are not the first season of The Mandalorian, this is the thing that I'm like, this feels like it has an identity. Like it knows what it wants to be. Whereas with Ashoka and Acolyte even, they felt more like they were really grasping at some far off Star Wars thing. Like here's the, you know, High Republic and these kinds of stories, and we're just going to make a Star Wars thing with those. And, you know, definitely the Boba Fett show was like, hey, here's this character you're kind of familiar with. We're going to make more things about them. That's not necessarily bad, because obviously Andor was great. But with this, it really does seem like from the ground up a new story set in this universe with characters we've never met before and like systems we've never met before, right? Like the Jedi are obviously part of this, but it's like those pirate guys, and yes, we met one of them before, but he didn't meet him for very long, and I honestly don't remember very many things that happened on the last season of Mandalorian. So, you know, I think this trailer looks good. Honestly, I wish Jude Law as a Jedi just like wasn't in it, because that makes me more curious. I think like the droid looked very cool. But you know, the idea that there's a Jedi in it at all makes me a little bit less excited. I would love to see one of these, kind of like Andor, that doesn't have a Jedi at all. I guess technically, well, Book of Boba Fett almost didn't have a Jedi at all, but then they went and did Luke Skywalker stuff. But like, I think the further you can get from a Jedi, the better, in terms of just for that Star Wars thing to exist. The pitch needs to be quite strong, and this pitch seems strong. I don't know too much about the kid actors. You know, Jude Law is cool. I don't know. He's bad guy in Captain Marvel. Could be secret bad guy in this. You never know. But I'm in. I'm liking this. I think this looks better. This is more appealing to me than Ahsoka or Acolyte. So if we're just looking at kind of recent Star Wars stuff, this looks pretty good. This is not my thing that I'm super excited about, though. We also saw some stuff from Andor, I think. Very little. We saw some Cyril Karn, though. So he's back, baby. And some of the other supporting characters from Andor. But Cyril is back to lick some boots you didn't even think could be licked. I'm very excited to see what happens there. You know, obviously that show's the best one. It's going to be the best one probably again. They lent a little bit into the like, ooh, it's K2SO, his good friend K2SO. And that's the one thing that I'm not as excited about. I do think Krennic makes sense because we do, like before, if you told me Krennic was going to be in the show, I'd be like, ugh. How is Andor going to meet him? What's the point of this? But having seen the first season of the show, it's pretty clear that like we've got these two tracks of, you know, Deidre Miro and Cyril Karn and some of these other, you know, movers and shakers in the Empire. So like him bumping into them makes sense. I'd say like maybe he's going to meet Mon Mothma, but he just doesn't seem like a savvy enough political operator to like do that well. So like he doesn't seem like the kind of guy that would be like an adversary for her, because he's kind of a petulant, I don't even know what you'd call him, like science advisor guy. So I feel like he's more of a nuts and bolts, like, you know, eventually Andor's going to end up in the same room as him and Deidre and everybody. I don't know. Looks great. Andor's going to be great. Let's see. Zootopia 2, I think we saw a little bit of that. I don't know. Whatever. Zootopia 1 was fun. This will probably be fine. This will probably also be a lot of weird racial stuff. Right, and not weird racial stuff, but like it'll be racial stuff that you're like, this metaphor is interesting and it applies to exactly the story they're telling. But when you start adding it to other stuff and you say, well, I guess that means these people are supposed to be this people, it all falls apart immediately. But you know, I think it's cute. People love it. Some other YouTubers more connected to that, and good for them. One other Frozen. This is the thing with this season of Disney releases. It was all sequels for stuff. It was all like, we're gonna make another Toy Story, and the bad guys are gonna be phones now or something, and TikTok, which like, the idea that technology is disrupting the lives of the toys in Toy Story feels like a movie they could have made in 1995. Like the first Toy Story was obviously about this space hero and cowboys and stuff, but by the Toy Story 2, the toys are playing a video game, and like Andy is video game age, so I'm not shocked that we've never touched that before, but I almost felt like we never could in this universe. Like this would just kind of take place in an alternate world where video games never really took off. But I'm interested to see, you know, what that means for the toys. You know, again, the more rules you add to their universe, the crazier it gets. So I'm excited for that. Frozen 3, you know, of course they're going to make that. I don't care for the Frozens 2. Like Frozen 2 is quite bad in terms of just being a story, so you know, I'm not excited for more, but I'm sure this will be expensive and it will get a lot of attention. But yeah, there was a lot of that. A lot of like, Incredibles 3, whoa, Brad Bird, whoa, 3, it's a logo with the 3 in it. And that was like Frozen. It was Frozen's logo with the 3 and maybe even a 4. So, you know, those are all things that are so far away and amorphous. It's hard for me to have any opinion of them. I do think I've seen a lot of people online say they better age up some of these Incredibles kids so they're in college or whatever, and I totally agree. Like, set this movie in the faux 80s, have it be, you know, Dash is an adult, Mr. and Mrs. Incredible are fully retired, the kids are getting in over their heads, and the adults have to come out of retirement, but they are like too old at this point to do it. I don't know. That's a story. As someone who made an Incredibles video, it's one of my most seen videos, like, I think there's plenty of directions for them to go with this. I just hope, like, it didn't feel like Incredibles 2 was that focused. So the idea of making a third one, this feels like this third one. Maybe Frozen should also be this, because honestly, Incredibles and Frozen are kind of on that same track here. They should be coming at this with a pitch for us, because we, the audience, should be a little bit skeptical of like another Frozen and another Incredibles, because the last ones felt like such, products that were kind of rushed out the door. I remember seeing I don't remember if I saw this in a Jenny Nicholson video or saw her talking about it, or I saw the actual, behind the scenes doc where they're talking about the fact that in Frozen 2, they didn't know where the water was going to end up. And someone's animating something like the water's rushing down the river and something's going to stop it, but it's clear that they haven't decided what that is yet, which is like not great for a story where that's the entire climax of the story. So, all of these sequels that didn't show actual footage or given a pitch, I'm skeptical of. I guess Toy Story 4 gave more of a pitch. I think also they said that the bad guys would be malfunctioning Buzz Lightyears, which is the bad guy of 2 and kind of 3, is like, what if Buzz malfunctions? So that's not super exciting to me. Like, I don't think the bad guys can be like TikTok or the internet, but I don't know. It's fine. It'll be fine. We saw some live action stuff. Live action. Snow White looks just the most confusing to me. Tonally, Gal Gadot doing the evil queen feels like it's gonna be rough. Rachel Zegler's probably fine. The little guys, like the 7 dwarves, look strange. And of course they look strange, but this movie seems like it has gone through a lot of work, and I was not thrilled by this trailer. I'm not the audience for this movie, but I do think like I can kind of tell when one of these looks like it's working and one of these doesn't. This is in the doesn't side for me. That being said, like they also had the Mufasa trailer as part of the live action preview night or whatever. And I want to like this one because it's less cynical than like Toy Story 5 or Incredibles 3. It does feel very much like we got to extend this IP, but the idea of this story being told about these 2 lions, and I guess the fact that it is a new story, we know where it's gonna end, but it's very similar to this Transformers movie that's coming out soon, where it's like, oh, the 2 friends that are enemies now used to be friends before, and one of them, went down a dark path. But I think there's something there. I think the lions look kind of good. Like, I don't like the way they look. I do not like looking at them, but I do think they look better than they did last time. And it seems maybe, this is just one small thing, the bit where they're like jumping on hippos and stuff feels like what they should have been doing in like I Just Can't Wait to Be King in the last one of these, and they weren't for some reason. Like they toned a lot of that stuff down, so with this maybe it'll be more fun. I don't know, the bad guy's Mad Mikkelsen, and he's like a lion, an evil lion that says the Lion King. The fact that you can rise to be the Lion King somewhat democratically or whatever is bizarre, and a movie exploring that is automatically going to be pretty weird. This one does have music by Lin-Manuel Miranda, which, if you showed that to me 4 years ago, I'd be like, oh. But now, after seeing Wish, I'm like, oh god, no, please bring Lin-Manuel Miranda back. They did everything Star Wars. Oh yeah, they showed like Mandalorian and Grogu or something. I really did see tweets that were like, AT-ATs, Mandalorian, Zeb, incredible, or whatever. And it's just like, we gotta be a little bit better. Just a little bit better at this. Because this is what the Red Letter Media guys are making fun of the Star Wars fans for, is just naming stuff they recognize and going, that! As opposed to like something kind of, I don't know, as opposed to getting excited about a specific story or a story element or the idea of a character, meaning out of the character or something. Like, I don't know, man, this feels sort of like that movie's very far off as well. All right, Marvel stuff. This is not what I was talking about, but I am still incredibly excited about the Michael Giacchino Fantastic Four score. We have heard more of it, and they just played the whole thing in a different panel, and it sounds amazing. I love Michael Giacchino, and I think that this score sounds super fun. I love that it has the words Fantastic Four in it. If you haven't seen it, maybe I'll put the link in the video, maybe I'll forget it, I don't know. But look for it, you can find it, and it sounds great. It is my new pump up music for like getting hyped for something. Also, we saw better footage of this trailer. The leaked footage from the trailer was originally from the Comic-Con, like San Diego Comic-Con, was quite bad. Like, it was very, you know, shaky and, you know, I mean, credit to the people that filmed it, because you would do it secretly, and that was good. I appreciate seeing it. But this, more people had like better vantage points. We weren't getting stuff blocked. And I do think we saw a little bit more of it, and it looked great. The Galactus in the end of it looks great. And because of how much better you get a look at it now, I didn't realize you also see Herbie the robot in that shot. Like, he's in the house sweeping the floors when Galactus shows up, which would suggest that the Fantastic Four are not there. So it's like, that's kind of interesting. I don't know. I'm into this. I'm very into this. Everything we've seen looks great. We saw an image, at least, of Johnny's suit, which is like a Fantastic Four suit, but it has all the lines that you know they're going to use to give him those kind of vertical lines that Johnny has that make him look very distinct in the comics, make him look unlike other characters who are just on fire, because there's quite a few of those. So I'm very excited for that. What else did we see? We saw an image of Yelena with different hair, so that's great. No Thunderbolt stuff, not shocked. We saw a lot of Agatha stuff. You know, I think that looks fun. It seems like it's going to be very magical. It seems like it's going to be very musical. There's going to be actual songs that the characters stand and sing. Maybe the spells or songs or something, and that's great. Like, do that. Do more of that. I think it has the very Marvel-y humor. So if you've been missing that, it's coming back. And what I mean by Marvel-y humor is Aubrey Plaza shows up, and she's like a big zombie thing, and she's this big reveal, everybody's scared of her, and then she shows up, and there's a beat, and she goes, "Hey everybody, what's up? It's party time," and then they all go, "Hey you," like that. But that can be good if it's done well, and I am excited for Catherine Hahn. I don't know, there's something about this one, talking about pitching, where the pitch for it is so specific and interesting that it makes me think they've got some idea. You know, this isn't like Toy Story 5 where they're just like, we gotta make another Toy Story. This really feels like someone came into Feige's office and said, I want to make an Agatha show. And he's, all right, what else you got? Like, what is it? And they pitched something interesting. He was like, all right, cool. Like, I don't think they're just, I think they were looking for more things, but I think Marvel has plenty of things. Like, I don't think they're desperately like, fine, who can we possibly do? I think like when Agatha showed up, it was a popular character, but I don't think spinoff was like a done deal. All I'm saying there is I imagine there's gonna be something here. I think this will be cool. We also saw Ironheart. There was like a trailer. This didn't get released online, but you can watch clips of it. People took, you know, cell phone footage, and it looks pretty good. I didn't know what the plot for this was before. I knew she was Ironheart. I knew she was at MIT. But this will all be in the trailer, I'm sure. So, you know, I wouldn't consider this much of a spoiler. But you see she gets let go from school or whatever and is kind of broke, but she still wants to make Iron Man suits. So she starts working for the Hood, played by Anthony Ramos, and he's doing some sort of like crime, something, but maybe it's like bank robberies. I don't know. I'm sure it'll be framed as a Robin Hood kind of thing. That'll probably be why he's called the Hood, but like stealing from rich people, probably what Alvin Ehrenreich will be. But that as an angle of like, it's a heist show and characters like, you're gonna get caught, and she's like, I'm not gonna get caught, and she's using Iron Man's suit to do heist. That's kind of cool. There's an angle there. Honestly, I am more excited about this than I thought I would be. But you know, that's the thing with these. You hear about them for so long, you're like, whatever. It's another Marvel show, whatever. It'll come out when it comes out. But then when you see it, you're like, oh yeah, they made that. Look, that looks interesting. I think I'll be excited about that. Okay, 2 more big Marvel things, I think, because no Thunderbolts, obviously no Blade. So let's do the first one. Captain America. We saw a lot of footage from that. It featured a couple things we haven't seen much of. A lot of Ruth. We got to look at the Serpent Society logo, which it would suggest that the Serpent Society is like a, you know, SEAL Team 6 kind of mercenary army thing. Not really a bunch of guys in snake costumes. And, you know, I'm not as thrilled about that. I kind of would like to see the snake costumes, but I get it. If they're going for the grounded thing, cool. And Giancarlo Esposito seems excited. Heard more Tim Blake Nelson speaking. That's fun. I like that. I think that's him at least at the end of the trailer. And we saw more Ruth. Ruth is there. You know, whatever. It's going to have some Ruth. What can you do? We saw more Red Hulk, though. And that, I think, was the highlight of this one. So we actually saw him stand up and just be Red Hulk. And we're at the point now where I've seen enough of trailers of this, and it's 2, where I'm able to kind of, based on what seem like the plot beats and like the costumes characters are wearing, I kind of have a sense for how some of these things might go. And it seems like that's what it's just, I kind of can see how this happens. I guess what I'm wondering here is General Ross, like, does he take the Red Hulk serum on his own, or is he like shot with a bullet that gives it to him, kills him, but then he comes back as Red Hulk, but like with Red Hulk powers? So I guess, does he get Red Hulk powers on purpose, or does he get Red Hulk powers thrust upon him, you know? But I do think it looks good. It looks bright and red and stupid, which is what the Red Hulk's supposed to look like. You know, I'm kind of excited. So we're still not at the thing that I love. Let's talk about Daredevil. Daredevil Born Again. So we saw a lot of stuff here. We saw a lot of characters. This was confirmation that the Punisher was in it. Official confirmation, I guess, and he looked good. You know, for some reason, Kamala's dad is in it. I guess he needs a lawyer for something. You know, I guess we never found out what happened with that actor, and they haven't fired him yet. I'm sure if they thought they needed to, they would. So I guess he's didn't do it, or what, I don't know. But he's sticking around, and they're putting him in the Daredevil show, so they must have a reason. We saw a little bit of the new costume, looks great. We saw a little bit of Muse. Muse is going to be the villain, seems like, or at least, you know, a villain. He's going to be, this character was from maybe the 2015-ish Daredevil run, by Charles Soule, I believe. And the idea was, he's an artist guy who like does crimes as art and goes, that's a beautiful crime and stuff. There's not a whole lot to Muse, but he's cool. He's a cool looking villain. He's good for a show like this because he'll create these dramatic, you know, murders that look like paintings or whatever. And then everybody will go, who's that guy? And Matt will look at clues and stuff. So I don't know. I think there's something there. And, you know, they can do a lot of different things with him. We saw Bullseye. We know, I'm shocked that he was not back in the original draft, but he's back here. Karen, Foggy, Matt Murdock is sitting down with the Kingpin. It's great. Doesn't even have an eye patch anymore. The Kingpin got so much better from getting shot in the face. He recovered amazingly. You know, I don't know. I'm excited about this. It looks cool. They got the vibe going right. There's some White Tiger. It seems like White Tiger is a vigilante who gets arrested, so that's cool. And I imagine that will be the original White Tiger, because there was always rumors that Jenna Ortega was going to come in as the second or third White Tiger. I don't know how it works, where she shows up, but like the main White Tiger, and so that'll be cool. Yeah. Overall, this looked good. It kind of vibes with everything we've seen because they shot a lot of this on the street. This feels like one of those things, kind of like Deadpool was this, where they did heavily reshoot it, and clearly like they worked around with a lot of stuff. Some of it may be based on like reviews not being super positive with certain bits, you know, that we've heard that about Daredevil. Some of it being just like, this studio doesn't make TV shows super well, let's rethink this as a TV show. And some of it just maybe being like technical limitations or whatever. It seems like they really did think this through, and there's like a vision for this. And I'm hoping this comes out after Brave New World. Brave New World is the other version of this. And this is very much like what The Deep and A-Train were parodying here, where they're like, this is the most expensive movie ever made because we reshot it into oblivion. That means it must be good. I think there is a lot riding on Brave New World as like the first MCU-y MCU movie, not like Deadpool, which felt like kind of MCU by way of Deadpool. You know, so I'm curious how that plays out, but overall looks, you know, Daredevil looks good. I think especially if White Tiger does investigations and stuff, there's probably a good chance we'll see Jessica Jones. That'll be cool, but you know, I don't know. I'm into it. So a couple things I forgot. And Tron, another Tron movie's coming out. I did not have really strong feelings about that second one. And the first one is before my time. It's one of those movies that I can kind of respect, but I don't think I can ever love it as someone who grew up, you know, after it. It's kind of like The Goonies. You can't go back and have that experience. You can enjoy it, but I don't think you can completely like get into it the same way. Nine Inch Nails is doing the music for it. Sure, that's kind of cool. Because Daft Punk broke up or whatever, so I got to pick somebody else. They do good music. Like Trent Reznor does good music, so. And by does good music, that sounds like a stupid way to say it, but like does good soundtracks. Like he's had good luck with these soundtracks, so we'll have a cool soundtrack regardless. It seems like it's going to take place in our world. The computer's going to come into our world, so that's something. You know, it's something new. I couldn't for $1,000,000 tell you how the last one of those ended, so I don't know if that even already happened. Olivia Wilde, I think maybe did come to our world, but I guess maybe she's dead or something. Her character didn't make it. I don't know. Other stuff I forgot. Got to look at Lilo and Stitch. They're making a live action Lilo and Stitch. I remember this was one of those things that everybody was mad about the casting of or something. You know what? I love, in fact, the original Lilo and Stitch. I think it's fantastic. And, you know, sure, kids like it, good. If they want it, I think they could definitely have more Lilo and Stitch. I don't know, man. Like, all these movies that are getting remade, the Disney remakes, almost none of them have worked for me as, like, things. Cinderella was pretty good, and Jungle Book, I thought, was very good. Jungle Book felt like they took a shot at, like, reworking parts of the story to turn it into something slightly updated. I don't even want to say better, but different. But like Lion King, Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, Dumbo, which I do think they also reworked a lot of. I just don't think it quite worked. You know, they don't really do anything for me. What other ones? I'm sure they've done others. Little Mermaid, haven't seen it. Nobody I knew was like, this is great. So, you know, I'm not in love with the idea of these, but it could be good. I don't know. The Stitch looks fine. The Stitch looks good. Yeah, but I do really like Stitch and Lilo and Stitch. Like, I think there's a lot of potential here for something cool. That being said, Lilo and Stitch 2 that is animated would, in my opinion, have more potential for being something cool. But, you know, maybe this one will actually have that ending where they fly through the buildings instead of when they changed because of 9/11. Maybe that's why they're doing it. Maybe Bob Iger's always been like, I know we had it. We had the perfect ending for that movie, and those goddamn 9/11 attacks ruined it. And if I ever get my chance, I'm gonna fix Lilo and Stitch. And you know what? If that's what you want, Bob, a person that I don't think was in charge of Disney when Lilo and Stitch 1 came out, but if that is something that you always did want, then God bless you. I hope it works out. Oh yeah. Speaking of things I don't really care about, Avatar 3. We saw more Avatar 3. We saw the title. It's Avatar Fire and Ash, which from what I understand is not what the title used to be. So I have a feeling that means the title will be Avatar Agatha All Along. We'll get that in like 2 years. It looks like they're fire. It does seem like the Na'vi are like evolutions. Like it's that you have your fire Na'vi. You have your water Na'vi, you have your, I don't know, tree Na'vi, which is what base Na'vi seems to be. And then maybe even air Na'vi, because I think we saw a little bit of like concept art of that. I don't know, cool. I think the Avatar movies are fine. Nothing about this right now excites me. So I bet you're wondering, well, that's everything. What else could it be? What could be the thing that you're excited about from Disney? Oh, wait. There's one more thing to be like, hey, that's not a good idea, but they're doing it anyway. New musicals. I think there's a Frozen musical they're going to record and put on like a pro shoot of that musical. I think that's a great idea. I think more musicals should have pro shoots on board. They did some stuff for the Hercules musical. I never saw it. It was actually in Jersey. I thought about going to see it. I've heard it's okay. I'm a huge fan of that Hercules movie, so I don't know. I feel like it's one of those things that can only disappoint me. And then a Greatest Showman musical, which we talked about on the podcast very recently. I think that is going to be very popular, and I would hate it. And that's just me. I don't think I could enjoy it the way that it needs to be enjoyed, which is just full in. Like you go, and maybe I could, maybe like 2 or 3 drinks in me, I could go and have a blast at the Greatest Showman musical. But just right now, sitting thinking about it, I just can't. But it's one of those things where it's so clearly, you know what, this isn't, here's the thing about the Greatest Showman musical, they could fix it. The Greatest Showman is a musical movie. Like, so, like, all this stuff, the set pieces, the songs, all that very easy to translate. Like, obviously, you know, tricky, but, you know, it's one of those things where you can tell when they made it, they knew, like, we're probably gonna, if this goes really well, we're gonna make a stage musical of this. So, you know, I'm sure they thought about that when they were making some of the stagings. So I'm sure that was always in the back of their heads. But that means we can take some of the problems with that, which, to quote Chris Diggins on our Mostly Nitpicking podcast, were that it takes place in a completely frictionless environment because there's no real difficulty that the main character faces. Like, I don't think they can go full, you know, actually fixing this and making the P.T. Barnum character the villain, because the movie knows he's the villain. It's very clear that he is the character that is obsessed with flash and showmanship and whatever, but Zac Efron's gonna be the character who learns to love the circus and loves the people, and you know, P.T. Barnum exploits the people, even like when it comes to history, like that's kind of what this guy was. So, you know, a lot of his songs, the lines in them are like songs that it's like a Disney bad guy song, but he's not the bad guy in the movie. And I'm not saying they have to do that, make him the bad guy, even though that'd be great. I just think they can maybe fix the structure of it, because there's bits where like the freaks, you know, have their song about their pride and how, you know, they're not going to be silenced and stuff, but it happens out of nowhere and goes nowhere and doesn't matter for the story. Like we can maybe put that further into the back, closer to the fire. Maybe that seems like a song that would happen leading up to the fire, because this would be the bit where they like have taken it too far and the people, like, they're fully coming out as the freaks, and the people are like, you know, in opposition to that. It ends up with them burning down the thing. But I don't know. It just, there's things you can do. I mean, fix all the Jenny Lind stuff, because that's all awful. Jenny Lind, history's greatest monster, who wanted nothing but to seduce P.T. Barnum and destroy this man's life, according to the movie. And that's all I have to go by, so I just have to assume that he was a nice man who didn't want to do any cheating, and this evil woman forced herself upon him and then destroyed him financially out of spite because she loved him so much. Like, it's so stupid. Listen, this is not just the Nando makes fun of the Greatest Showman hour or whatever. That's the last 5 minutes is, but I could do it. We talked for hours about the Greatest Showman and how much its plot is insane. But I know people love it, and apparently it's in the West End, or was in the West End, I think. They've been working on it somewhere overseas, so I could see it being very fun. It's not for me. Like, I guess what kills me about all this live action Disney bullshit, when it's the musicals or the movies, is they do it with the ones that are already good and that already got a good reception. They were already huge hits, right? Like even Lilo and Stitch wasn't like the biggest hit, but I'm sure that was a big hit. It sold lots of stuff. There's still so many Lilo and Stitch plushes out there for the kids, and good for them, because Lilo and Stitch is great. However, there are other great Disney movies, or Disney movies with a lot of potential, that like you could remake and they could be cool, or could be a stage musical and they could be great. And the two that always come to the top of mind, you could even say Treasure Planet, although I didn't really love Treasure Planet, but Atlantis, Lost Empire. Now, yes, that is very much like, you know, Wakanda Forever and Avatar, and there's a lot of stories that have similar DNA. I do think Wakanda Forever, the way it paints the Atlanteans, and, you know, obviously like Aquaman has this too, but the way that Wakanda Forever treats the Atlanteans as, like, I think like a Mesoamerican civilization or whatever, South American civilization, that is something that is similar to them in a way that like Atlantis in the Aquaman movies really isn't. Like, they are a technological superpower that is basically like a city with buildings, but the people are fishes. Whereas, like, yeah, in Wakanda Forever, they made it seem like more of, you know, like an Aztec or one of those civilizations, and that's very cool. But yeah, so I guess if you made it, it would feel it. But there's also just like other stuff about that movie that's great. The visuals, the time, that steampunk aesthetic, the characters that are all funny and memorable and really memey, and like the kind of thing that TikTok would love. That should be a live action movie. I don't even care. Put Tom Holland in it, you know, so people go see it. But like, I think we have a chance with those, with these live action remakes, to like remake a movie that was good, that we all knew was good, but for whatever reason just didn't hit. On the other side of things, we should be taking movies that are good and turning them into these musicals. But like, I don't know, Cinderella, Frozen, we know what that's gonna be. That doesn't have, I think, what Broadway has. I think Beauty and the Beast had it, which was the sense of humor that wasn't just one funny guy, you know, like Olaf and like, I guess the reindeer dude. But like, I guess the thing about Frozen is it has big musical numbers, but it just doesn't have the liveliness that I would want from a Broadway musical. I think Aladdin almost has it, but I've seen the stage of Aladdin. I think it's almost right, but there's some things that they just can't really, you know, get away with. It's not as fun. Emperor's New Groove. Why is this not a stage musical? We can write new music for it. We can use that Yzma song that they didn't put in the movie, but also you could just do so many fun things with the puppets. And, you know, that is a very kinetic, like people are moving. The diner scene where everybody's bumping into each other and picking up and holding the hiding the menu, like that is built to be on stage and to be, you know, a fun, like vaudevillian live action experience. Also, the aesthetic of Tom Jones, you know, Vegas showiness is super synced up with what Broadway does well. Like the bit where they're all river dancing, you could just see it, you know, like I see what that would look like, and that would be fun because river dancing doesn't really happen on Broadway anymore because who cares? But then it's like, oh yeah, you can use that bit there, and I don't know. I think it's crazy that Disney is not making an Emperor's New Groove live action musical. I know it's just because it wouldn't be as safe of a bet as Frozen or whatever, or Greatest Showman, but like it would be good. It could be good like Book of Mormon is good, where it is good on its own merits and also on, you know, the backs of the people that are making it, but like it becomes bigger than just the ideas. If that's the thing with Frozen the musical will never be bigger than the movie. It will always be like this, you know, vestigial part of the movie that makes money and people like, but it's like, yeah, you know, the movie is the best one though. But with this, it's like, this could be where this thing shines. This could be humongous for it. The same way that I guess, like, I don't know, every so often a movie like Newsies that kind of came and went, we'll get a musical, and I haven't seen Newsies, and I know that's controversy or whatever. That's just an example. But like, sometimes those work, and when they work, they get to transcend, and I think that is what Emperor's New Groove could do. Anyway, so far I've named pretty much everything I can remember, and none of these are the things that I liked. Some of them are things I like, but none of them are the thing that I was like, what is that? Because the thing that I was like, what is that? Is a show that I had not heard of before. It is part of the Pixar lineup. Pixar's making a couple of shows. They're making an Inside Out show that's just the Dream Guys or something. That could be cool. You know, the world of Inside Out makes no sense, but like it could be fun. They're making a show about a kid that turns into a beaver or something. That's weird. But then they're also making a television show. It's their first show. This sounds like me pitching it to you. Like this is a commercial for it. It's not. It's their first show, and it's about a Little League team where they all have different versions of the same day play out, which is this big game. The show is called Win or Lose. And I don't know who's in it besides Will Forte. Seems to play the coach. But if you watch the trailer, you'll see that the idea of this is that every different person playing this, and like maybe the coach gets an episode, maybe the umpire gets an episode, maybe, you know, a dad, but it's mostly the kids, experience this day differently because of what it means to them, you know, what baseball and what this game, the drama of it. But it feels like it's kind of like After Party, where because of the different viewpoints, the genre of each episode is going to be kind of different. And I don't know, this looks awesome. Like this is easily the thing I'm most excited about coming out of D23 on Friday. Like, I think there's certain things that I've seen that are great, and things that I knew looked good, like Fantastic Four, that still look good. But like this, I had not heard a thing about, and seems like so much fun. It has a wonderful aesthetic, honestly, and I know this is also maybe part of why I'm biased towards it. Kind of feels like Luca. I'd say design-wise, it has a lot in common with Luca and Turning Red, and those Pixar things that I just love Luca. I think Luca's so fun that if this has that same energy, it could be really special. You know, this is my called shot for this. Like, I think this will be awesome, and I'd like to go back in a year and see if this was good. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. This looks real fun. So in conclusion, D23 Friday, the live action and movies and TV and stuff, everything but the animation stuff, which will be in a day or two. All that looked fine. Most of it was a name of a movie we know plus a number. You know, Incredibles 3, Frozen 3, Moana 2, like whatever. Some of the trailers, like Agatha, were good. Some of the stuff that we didn't fully officially see, but like, you know, Red Hulk looked fun. Skeleton Crew looks fun. But for me, this Win or Lose. I said this during our Inside Out 2 thing. I was like, I kind of like this movie, but really, I'm in it for the hockey. Like, I like the hockey drama and the idea of filming hockey in this kind of really interesting, like Pixar-y way, I think could be really fun. So the idea that they did make just a sports thing where we don't go in their heads, but we just see the drama of the sport unfolding. Like, thank you so much, Pixar. I'll do another one of these if the animation stuff is surprising or exciting. I have a feeling we'll get some stuff that's pretty cool. I think Marvel animation and Disney animation has been really like top notch this year. Some of it being like Hitmonkey, which I don't think would be counting for this, but some of it being, you know, X-Men 97 and the Spider-Man show that we haven't seen yet that looks great, and What If Season 2 that I think was a real huge improvement over Season 1. And Season 1 wasn't bad, but like Season 2 I thought was great. So I'm excited for that. Thank you for watching. Stay safe, everybody. I'll see you around. Bye.